Hello and welcome back to Perchance to Dram. Please be advised, I have today a very special whiskey to review. Ardbeg 10, the ultimate Islay single malt Scotch whiskey. One of my favorite distilleries. Islay, my favorite region of Scotch whiskey. Campbellton, maybe as I explore Campbellton to the extent I have the ability to, both financially and just geographically. And I mean, what can you say about the Ardbeg 10? So let's get into it. It's been maybe a year since my last bottle of the 10. So. The Ardbeg 10 is, of course, 46 ABV, non-chill filtered, natural colored. The Ardbeg distillery, very special, and they're very experimental. They put out a lot of different releases through their committee, different yearly releases for Facial, the Islay Festival. They're known for not chill filtering their whiskey and being very traditional, but then marrying that also with that willingness to experiment. And they recently redid their still house to expand capacity. The distillery is owned by Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, which is one of the world's premier luxury goods brands. They also own Glenmorangie, as well as, of course, Moet and Hennessy and a lot of other things, and Louis Vuitton, etc. In fact, the CEO and chairman of LVMH, Bernard Arnault, is actually one of the richest men in the world. I think a couple months ago he pipped briefly Jeff Bezos as richest man. So definitely a luxury brand, Ardbeg, and most of their expressions are a little bit more on the expensive side, but the 10-year-old is $60 and really a perfect entry level for the peated whiskey category, the peated Scotch category, and I can't recommend it enough. I mean, it's something that it's a little bit like comfort food for serious whiskey fans. So let's check it out. As you can see with the natural color, it's a bit pale, right? And that's okay. It's not all about color. This is all ex-bourbon casks. I don't think there's any sherry casks in it. So, it's not all about color when you talk about whiskey. Color can be really good sometimes. Ooh. All right. So, citrus, a little bit of citrus, vanilla for sure, salty, and you do have that smoke undertone in there, but in the nose, the smoke is not overpowering. The mark of a great whiskey is it has a lot of notes that you can't quite put a name to, right? Particularly as you get older, it becomes more difficult to tie those things to the particular smell or food or thing that you remember. Yeah. A little bit of very, very fresh leather. Sanche. Spicy, peppery, moving toward a blast of smoke, quite smoky, but also with a vegetal element due to the association. It's right on the edge of the sea. My brain goes directly to kind of seaweed. Very coating, chewy on the finish. Burnt vanilla. It's very rich and chewy. A little bit more of the vegetation in there. That's Ardbeg, boy, and nothing else. Still getting quite citrusy. It's a little bit different from how I remember the last bottle I had. Quite citrusy, a little bit mineral, a little bit bread. Oh, smoke really coming through. It's a very high smoke. It's not sooty, it's not wet. It's a very refined, dry smoke. Maybe some apricot. We used to have an apricot tree in our backyard when we lived on Park Road in beautiful Moab, Utah. And if we didn't do a good job harvesting the apricots, then they would fall, become overripe, and get mixed in with the mud. This is why whenever you review, think about a whiskey, you have to give it time. You have to have multiple sips in order to get everything out of it. And even then, sometimes it's going to depend on you. Sometimes it's going to depend on the oxidation in the bottle. But it can be very difficult with some whiskeys to have an accurate assessment with the initial pour. So, much fruitier this time on the palate. Still stone fruit, orchard fruit. Moving into a quite earthy smokiness, a bit oily, and then on the finish, still vanilla and I would say slightly less vegetal this time. Not wood smoke, but peat smoke. That's the Ardbeg 10. If you haven't had this whiskey, it can be had almost anywhere, and at $60, honestly, it's a steal. Ardbeg is one of the best distilleries in the world. Cannot recommend it highly enough. If you're interested in getting into the Scotch whiskey category seriously, or peated whiskey, really this is going to be something that people talk about a lot and use as a frame of reference. So it's very useful to have in your brain. To drink, perchance to dram. Have a good one.